So for Monday morning devotion, I refer us back to Kara Spurlock's powerful and very effective testimony for the glory of God. She talked about her journey battling the self-esteem issues in the battle of the mind. It was a very, very real connection to what we've been preaching on. And she talked about her self-esteem. And what's interesting is in the student revival, we noticed that most of those kids, the number one theme during the student revival was, of course, identity crisis, identity confusion, and self-esteem issues. And so we asked yesterday, how can the church address those issues? How can we give people the answer that can bring healing and deliverance? And the answer to that is the gospel and God's word. And so I said, if we were to talk to that person today, what could we say? And so that was what the sermon was framed around. And I just want to remind you of the very first point. If you're talking to someone who has self-doubt and they're wondering about their self-worth, they're having self-esteem issues, then the very first thing you should give them is Psalms 139 in verse 14. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, that my soul knoweth right well. That's Psalms 139 and 14, if you want to write that down and go over that as your Monday morning devotion. The theme is, I am made by God. And we know that when the Bible tells us we have been made by God, first of all, He makes us in His image. Genesis 1 tells us that He made man and woman in His very own image. He poured His self, His person, His character into the very nature of man. We are in His image, meaning we are in His shape, His figure, His mirror, with a smaller version of who He is. We're a model of who He is. We're imagers. And so it gives us the purpose of our identity, the purpose of our living. And that is to reflect His person, to show His character, and to display His goodness and His glory. You are made in the image of God, young person, old person, person struggling with self-esteem. God put His self on you. Secondly, it says, I'm fearfully made, intricately, in detail, heartfelt. He put 600 muscles. How much detail is that? 20,000 hairs? No, not on the head, in the ear. God made you in a very intricate, detailed way, a heartfelt way. He made you wonderfully. That's unique and special, a skillful creation to weave as embroidery. Mechanism, mechanics, your body moves as a machine with 48 cents worth of elements, iron and phosphorus and sodium and chlorine and carbon and copper. He mixed all those chemicals, 263 bones. Of course, your personal talents and tendencies and likes and dislikes. And so lastly, He made you marvelously. That means unique and different. Billions of human beings on the planet, and they all differ by a fingerprint. They're all unique. So with that, with the end of the devotion, with the three applications, if you're battling with self-worth, first of all, you say, I am God's masterpiece. I'm made by God. I'm not going to doubt my worth. I'm not worthless. God had a purpose in making me. Secondly, how do I treat myself? Because if I'm God's masterpiece, then I need to treat my body, my mind, my soul, my spirit, what I pour into it, physically, emotionally, spiritually, it needs to be something of health, something that promotes God's masterpiece. And last, I should not covet. Thou shalt not covet. Instagram, TikTok, all these things. You don't need unhealthy comparisons with others. I wished I had what they had. I wished I was like what they are like. No, I don't have to covet because I know that God has made me in His image, fearfully, wonderfully, and marvelously. I hope that blesses someone today. I am made by God.